guys! Today I'll be showing you how to make Poison Ivy's costume. Poison Ivy is basically the most relatable character everywhere. She hates people and she loves plants and she wants to save the environment. Like, she's basically me. You guys know I'm a crazy plant lady. Now I should start with a little disclaimer. There are so many versions of Poison Ivy all throughout the comics to the animated series, as well as the one played by Uma Thurman. There's just so many costumes. So I kind of decided to make my own that was a mixture of the animated series but with more leaves because I like leaves. As well as with a little bit of that pin-up style that she has, which you'll see with like the heels and everything. So this is just the way that I wanted to make it. You can make it any way that you like. And also this is a no-sew tutorial. So there are a couple points where I did a bit of sewing, but that was just because I didn't have any super glue with me. So you can totally do this without a sewing machine, without even hand sewing. You can like 100% hot glue this. So that makes it heaps easier, which is great. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get started. To begin with, I'm going to be making the bodice. Now you'll either need a mannequin or you'll need a friend who can help you and duct tape your body. To begin with, I'm putting on a cotton shirt. Cotton is good because it's an absorbent fibre, so it'll make sure it's really comfortable for you. And I also put a strapless bra underneath because I wanted to have that on the final costume. Next, you'll need some duct tape. Try and follow the natural contours of the body. So for example, going around the boobs and kind of, it's harder to explain. Just watch what I'm doing, how I'm like wrapping it around the body. This way you can avoid as many wrinkles and weird bumps in the duct tape as possible. Make sure you do as many layers as possible because you want this to be really strong. But if it's a bit ugly looking now, it doesn't matter because we will be covering it with leaves. I had some leftover boning from a craft project. Boning basically goes inside corsets, most of it's plastic, and it just kind of helps keep everything together and stop it from wrinkling and like warping on your body. So I'm just going to be putting this down the center front and center back seams as well as the side to give the corset a lot more structure. Now the first corset I ever made when I was like 13 or something, I used a plastic juice carton and cut it up into 1 centimeter strips, and that worked perfectly, so you can definitely do that. Basically it just needs to be a hard plastic that's in 1 centimeter long strips. After I added that, I cut off the excess fabric. And then I cut it off the mannequin. I later decided that I wanted to have the closure at the front of the corset, so if I was to do this again I would have cut it at the front, but it doesn't really matter. Quickly try it on and then draw out how you want the neckline to look. I decided to get the kind of sweetheart shape because I wanted that pin-up vibe, so I just drew that on with a permanent marker and then cut it out. Hey guys, sorry I had to switch microphones because my other one broke. Hopefully it's not too abrupt. So basically I cut the top off the corset. This is what it looks like on the inside. The fabric is kind of wrinkly, but it doesn't really matter because you won't see it. As I said, I decided to make the closure at the front, so I flipped it over and taped the back together. I also added another piece of boning at the back. This is the zipper that I chose. It's a dark green colour and I made sure to get a separating zipper. This means that it separates into 2 parts, which is very important, otherwise you won't be able to get into it. So you can just super glue that on. I didn't have any super glue, so I sewed it with my machine, but it kind of ruined my needle. You basically would really want to use super glue because hot glue might not be strong enough since there's going to be a lot of tension on that seam. The next step is to cover it in fake leaves. I got these vines from eBay. I didn't get enough, which ended up being a problem later, but yeah. I covered it with 2 different kinds and I think that adds a little bit more dimension to it. Next up is the shorts. I got a pair of green pants and they have a tiny bit of stretch, but mostly they're pretty stiff. And this is because if you're using spandex or something and you hot glue something to it, when it stretches the hot glue can pop off. So that's why I didn't want to use any stretchy fabric in this design. So I basically marked out where I wanted it to go. These ones turned out looking a little bit more like shorts than underwear, but if you want it to be cheekier, you can do that definitely. Then just cut 2 centimeters away from the pins like this. This is going to be so that we can hem it. If you're not too worried about this, I mean, you don't have to, you can just cut along the line that you pinned. But if you'd like to keep this costume to wear it several times, like I do, then it's probably a good idea to hem the seam. I decided that I was happy with the way it looked, and so I copied the design onto the other side. Also, random note, but if anyone read the Archie comics when they were younger, there was totally this like one comic about Betty and Veronica who went through this like fashion trend with a pair of pants that was short on one side and long on the other. Anyway, that's getting a little bit off track. Anyway, so I basically just folded over the raw edge once and then once again on the inside and pinned it down. If you're using super glue, glue it as you go, but otherwise I'm pinning it as I go because I'm going to be hand stitching it. I know I said this is a no sew tutorial, I just wanted it to last a little bit longer, but you definitely don't need to sew. Hot glue will work just fine. Next, I glued on leaves. As I said, I ran out of leaves and didn't have time to order more because I had a deadline for this video, which is kind of unfortunate, but I'll be able to add more in the future. I still think it turned out okay, but I'd definitely add leaves to cover the entire area of green fabric next time. So order more than you need because you'll need a lot of leaves. And I just hot glued these on. Lastly is the shoes. I got these secondhand from my cousin, and I just removed the bows on the front. You guys have probably noticed in all my costume videos, for shoes I'll get them secondhand or from a thrift store so that I can just get cheap shoes and then cover them. It's a really great way for doing cosplay when you're broke. Next, I just cleaned the bottom of the shoes. I basically wanted to remove any surface level dust or dirt so that it would spray paint well and it would stick. I couldn't get all of it off and it's a bit grimy looking, but it's okay because it's going to get covered anyway. Remember to use a mask when you're spray painting because you don't want those particles inside your lungs. I first gave it a coat of primer. This is so that the plastic will stick to the spray paint. And it is better with spray paints to always do 2 thin coats instead of 1 thick coat. I'm setting a bad example here. So yeah, keep that in mind. After the primer dried, I gave it a coat of black spray paint. You can do any colour you like, if you prefer red or green or white or something, it's up to you. I just decided to go with black. Next, you'll need your hot glue gun again. I glued on a whole bunch of leaves. I started with these green ones. They were quite thin and the hot glue showed through, as you can see. It looked a bit gross, so I decided to cover it with all the light green ones first, and then add the smaller leaves on top of the ugly patches. As you can see, once the little leaves go on, it starts looking a whole lot better. And this is the finished look. I just paired it with some light green tights and a red wig that I got on eBay. I hope you enjoy this tutorial. There's lots more costume tutorials coming your way. So if you'd like to see those, make sure you're subscribed. I hope you have a lovely day and I'll see you next time.
Sunset high and our bodies low, blood rush in a hazy glow. My hands, your bones, loose up, we break the scene. One step deep as you fall to me. Hot clap, we skip a beat. Count 1, 2, 3, and don't you stop the music, get into it, won't you dance with me?
What was about? I don't function.
Eat it. It's vegan, right?
The weeds. This is like the most vegan thing I've ever done.